Welcome to Living on the Wire, a closer look inside how our league is spending their waiver wire budget. And this week there was roughly 350 million players added to teams across the league. And I'm going to apologise in advance for not getting some of those later additions in the day. But I've got the bulk of it, and I'll mention an honourable mention some of the players that went later on. So let's just get stuck in, otherwise we're going to be here all day. And as always, we have our big bid boys and a completely unexpected and totally unnecessary $75 dropped by Jago and the Lefroy Gloons to get OBJ. I don't know if this was a planned move, if he knows something that we don't. As far as I know, OBJ isn't on a team, and although he's being mentioned to be on just about every team, if it doesn't happen soon for our league, it's going to make absolutely no difference. Knowing OBJ, he'll turn up to whichever team he thinks has actually got a chance of winning the thing, probably right around the time we are finishing up for the season. So I think that $75 is going to leave Jago a bit short. But if he's confident his bye weeks are covered, he's maybe just having that last throw of the dice to see if he can get something a little bit different. Let's see if it pays off. Fingers crossed it doesn't. And then the Wildcats, myself at the Wildcats picking up Damien Harris. An amazing start to the season. He's a high quality running back. He's probably slipped behind Ramondre Stevenson at the Patriots for the moment. But when he comes back from injury, he's always dangerous. So a bit of a premium price there as no one else really wanted him. But I'm hopefully going to have him there to cover bye weeks when needed. Although I really do wish that I had him right now for the bye weeks coming up this weekend. And then Allen picking up an expensive little defensive maneuver there, grabbing the Las Vegas Raiders and dropping the Packers. Packers not having a great time of it right now. Raiders not a massive improvement, but Allen obviously fancies that matchup. And with $6 spent, he's still got a little bit of money left in his kitty. And then Greg Stark at the Lions. He knows that kickers win games and that the Cardinals defense just doesn't. So he's got his defense sorted. He doesn't need them, and he's picked up Graham Gano back off the Giants bye week. And then next up, we got the little bitty boys and Njoku getting picked up. He had a sort of little pickup there, playing some great games. Got a bit of a knock, missed a few games. He should be coming back. So Allen's picked him up as a bit of a sort of a higher ceiling player maybe than Double J, who didn't really do too much for him last week after picking him up. So kind of almost streaming tight ends there from Allen. Cole Kmet getting picked up by Andy for $4. Do you know what? I thought about it myself. He has had a couple of good games in a row, and that Bears offense is starting to heat up, but it's still just pretty unpredictable. He could just as easily get no points as he could 10 points. So as long as Andy's got a real tight end in place and he's just using Kmet as a backup, probably a pretty good option, and I think I would have gone there myself. Andy then also picking up Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall, I don't really know much about him. I've not really seen him play. You know, he's had two decent games there for the Panthers, but a lot of that has been garbage time touchdowns for a team that isn't playing very well. So it'll just be interesting to see who's going to be quarterback there. Are they going to connect with Marshall? Is it going to have a positive effect? Looks like it might be Sammy Darnold coming back in. Looks like they're trying to make sure they don't have to pay too much for Baker Mayfield by keeping him out for as many games as possible. And yeah, it's just very unpredictable. But with all these bye weeks, you've just got to grab what you can. And if he plays anything like he has in the last two games, or if he even just gets some of those garbage time touchdowns that the Panthers love, he will be a good addition to the Owls. And then look at the Argonauts picking up Schultz for Ingram. Schultz has had a rough start to the season with injury. He came back, played a couple of good games, and then he's got the bye week just to get even healthier. So that could be a good pickup there, especially as it's not cost him any money. So absolutely no risk there for Luke. And then cheapest chips, the guys that go off the board for free. We've got the Saints, a pretty low scoring offense. But I think looking at that matchup, the Vikings have got the Bills, and perhaps Telfy's predicting that the Bills will be wanting to smash the Vikings, as a bit of a make-up game for how poorly they played at the weekend. However, the Bills might be minus their quarterback depending on how serious that injury is. So it's difficult to know, as always, until after the fact if that's going to be a good move or not. Just need to wait and see. I know Mikey's watching that one closely as well to see how his quarterback action's going to look for this weekend. And then we got Downey. Downey's picked up his beloved Danny Dimes, getting rid of that Ellinger. Ellinger's not played pretty well. They've got a new coach in charge who's, as far as I'm aware, only ever coached his kids' high school team all of a week or two and has come straight from being an analyst on the television. So who knows what's going to happen there. It looks to me like the Colts are very much chucking that one away and just playing for the draft pick. But who knows what's going through the owners' minds there. But that's, bizarre one. And Danny Dimes has been playing pretty well. Picked up, off his bye week. He's had a couple of good games, a couple of not so good games, but he's consistently getting you more than 15 points. Why not pick him up as your backup QB? Surprised actually there wasn't more bids for him. There was just a 2, I believe. So Andy probably be quite happy with that. Plus, it's one of his beloved Giants. And then Keith's dropping Dobbs, who's picked up an injury and picked up Cook. Cook has probably slipped down the pecking order on that depth chart there, them acquiring the new running back. But they do like to give him chances. They do like to give him options. He might not get a lot of action, but there's always just that chance he picks you up those touchdown points if he gets the ball in the right place. And then Brian picking up the Giants, fresh from their bye week, dropping the Colts. There's not a lot of them in the rankings and how many points they've scored in fantasy so far. But the Giants are up against the Texans, and so you'll be hoping that matchup there is just giving you a better chance of that extra point or two that could win you the game. And then some more afterthoughts. Not much challenge for these players, although surprised to see some of these people moved around. We've got a straight up kicker swap, all about covering bye weeks, nothing too fancy there for Steve. And then down to Jago's Loons, picking up Dotson, who had a really promising start to the season, picked up a knock. He's disappeared. Should be coming back. Jago's now just throwing some more dice at players that should be coming back as strong, as they left. But we're going to find out if he's going to be the same player straight away. The changing quarterback situation there might be something to think about as well. When Dotson was playing well, he was getting the ball from Wentz. Now the situation there's changed. That'll be interesting to see how that plays into it as well. But all he's had to do is drop Devin Duvernay, who, although he's having a decent, I believe it's his 3rd season at the Ravens, he's having a decent season. He's already, I think, just about matched his game starts, and he's got more receiving yards, I think, than he's had in any of his previous seasons with the Ravens. It's just a run-heavy team, and you're waiting just to see if it happens to be one of those few games where they toss the ball deep, and if they do, he might get you a touchdown and get you a decent score, but 9 times out of 10, he's probably getting you 5 or 6 points. So Jago's gone for the slightly riskier option in the sense that we really don't know what's going to happen there with Dotson, but probably got a higher ceiling for when things go right. Then Luke just picking up a kicker, dropping Mims. Mims has really not done anything this season. Great disappointment for the Jets. But yeah, he's had Wilson throwing to him on only a couple of occasions. He's really not played too many snaps. He's just kind of become a bit of an afterthought there. So he's like the 180 millionth ranked wide receiver in our league. Not a difficult position to fill for your backups compared to running back. So yeah, why not get rid of him? You pick up Lutz for your kicker, lets you hang on to a kicker and stash one somebody somewhere else. I can see why Luke's gone ahead and done that. And then Downey, picking up another player. I feel like he's been mentioned a lot today. He's got DPJ, who I just always feel like every season he has just an explosive game or two. Like he'll have 2 games where he'll pick you up 20 or 30 points and everyone will be going crazy wanting Donovan Peoples-Jones, and then he just kind of shrinks back into getting you like 3 points or 2 points for the next like 5 weeks. But he'll be hoping that he's picked them up just in time for that big explosive game. And Drake London's kind of fallen off the face of the planet. He's not playing as well as he was at the start, all that early promise. He just doesn't seem to quite be living up to it. I don't know what quite's happening in Atlanta that's kind of made that happen. They'll be hoping that they can bounce back. But what it looks like is you've probably got a player there that's capable of getting you a big game, and you've dropped a player who could also be capable of getting you a big game, but it's just luck. You know which one of those guys is going to get the next 20-pointer and win Andy a game. So he'll be keeping his fingers crossed. And then the rest of our also ran. So these are the guys that got picked up a little bit after the fact off the waiver. So Loops dropped Wilson and picked up Wilson. I don't again think there's needing really explain Zach Wilson on a bye week. Downey is stashing away the Jets defense. They've been playing absolutely fantastic this season, and it's a huge factor in their success. Their young rookies coming in and playing really, really well. And so it looks like he's stashing the Jets for when they come back from their bye week. And he's just had to drop DeAndre Carter, so no big loss there for him. Downey, whose name I'm saying again, he's picked up his boy Wan'Dale Robinson. He had to drop him to cover bye weeks, but he's been able to scoop him back up. Loves having giant players on his team. I think at this point he's got the whole roster. And then we've just got people moving around to get themselves kickers to cover bye weeks. Gould, Elliott, and Santos off the board, going Telfi, Ross, and Gary. That was just about all I could see for the big ones that came up when I started making this, but people were still fishing around the league looking for players after that. A lot of wide receivers going off the board after that. So I know that Ray was scooping up Gallup and dropping Hill. I scooped up Jarvis Landry, hoping that he'll come back from injury and become this kind of wide receiver number 2 that he was set out to be. I know that Mikey's picked up Case Keenum, probably just tying him to his quarterback so that if Josh Allen's not playing, he just inserts Keenum and he doesn't really have to worry about it all too much because he knows he's got the backup for his guy. Steve picking up Jacoby Brissett. I do like Jacoby Brissett. I'm biased though because he did start out with the Patriots and dropping Heineke. But yeah, Brissett's been playing pretty well in Cleveland, and I think they've got another 2 games before they have to worry about Watson coming back. And even then, I think that first game back is like due against the Texans, so they might choose not to go straight in with him as well. And Al's picking up Burks, I think, and popped him on his IR spot. And Brian picking up Collins. Just, wide receivers. Nothing special. Kind of guy that's going to pick you up 5 or 6 points in your flex spot to cover your bye weeks. And Telfi picking up Slayton. Again, just that wide receiver that might pick you up 5 or 6 points just to cover those buys. If I missed your player, it's probably because they were unimportant to me, or I don't really care, or it was just because this was an incredibly long list to get through. So now, that was a mouthful. On to our awards. So here's our awards. We've got our big spender, MLJ, Matthew Liam Jago, and the little Freud Loons, picking up OBJ. So OBJ and MLJ going to finish the season strong together, but that's a lot of cash just dropped and puts the Loons on 0. I'm the only person left in our division that has any money left. But I'm also last in our division, so maybe I should have spent more. And then saving up, and then we've got a tie. I want to say it's $78 between Mikey and Greg. I suppose when your teams are winning and you're doing well and you're not worrying too much, you don't have to get into those bidding, barring competitions to try and just pick up a running back for a week. So the Balvenie Lions, there you go. Mikey and Greg are saving up experts, financial experts. And then the You Tried Award for Gary and Ray at the Blobfish. I want to say it was 4. I think it was 4 players you missed out on that initial waiver bid, at least, out of the players that dropped. And I don't think I saw a single player in that initial bid that you did even manage to pick up. So you tried to pick up the players you needed to fix the gaps in your team, but you had to do it after the fact, picking up the also-rans, picking up the players that no one even really wanted in the first place. I know that feeling, gentlemen. I know it well. Right, that was probably the longest video of my lifetime. No time to stop for jokes, no time for any banter, other than I'll finish on a little anecdote that is unimportant to anybody other than I was super surprised, confused and excited today to see Gregor as I was dropping the wee man off swimming. Turns out our kids go swimming at the same pool. Who knew? Right, stay safe everybody. May the fantasy gods be kind, except to Luke. Fuck you, Luke.